Welcome back to Beautiful Work, Beautiful Life. You are listening to our final podcast of season 4. And our title of this podcast is Rescripting the American Dream. Laurel, do you remember when that title came in?
No, you're going to tell me though.
I think it was about, I want to say about 2 months ago. And you and I were starting to tune into what we wanted to bring forth in season 5, what we were going to do, and kind of floating around some topics. And somehow we got on the topic of the American dream and how it feels like, in a lot of ways, a lot of people are dreaming a different American dream these days.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it really
Amen.
is interesting to think that we now live in a world where you do not have to have a one size fits all dream.
Yeah. Yeah. And whew, this is big. This is a big reworking of our inner life when we're talking about this rescripting of the American dream.
Yeah.
Because what we were raised with, all of us, up until this point, no matter what generation you are, right? You were indoctrinated into some family, some community, some country, right? We're in here in America, so we're talking about the American dream, but this is true for everyone, wherever you are. And in that place that you were indoctrinated, right? The family, the system, the community, the country, there was some spoken and unspoken dream of what the good life is.
Oh, yes. And that good life often meant better than
Yes.
someone else's or better than the way it used to be.
Yeah.
So it put us in, at least in my experience, put me in a place of wanting more
Yeah.
and to outdo and outperform and out have
Yeah.
something from a prior
Previous.
time. I mean, I think about this a lot. I think about the generations who were striving to do better and have more
Yeah.
than their parents.
Be more educated, have a bigger house, make more money, have
Yes,
more cars, maybe a bigger
yes,
family, right? There's so
more,
many mores, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And is that sustainable? So
Right.
I am so, I don't know, maybe relaxed or relieved that people are now dreaming into a different life
A
of
different
different
vision.
vision
Yeah.
than the
Yeah.
more than someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And what it feels like to me from my small point in the world, I mean, I'm a tiny speck in this whole world of humanity on the planet, but from what I hear and what I see, I think there's a whole variety of different dreams going on. I think
Yeah.
there's a whole new ability to say, oh, I don't know if that's what I want. And then not just necessarily pick somebody else's dream, but to wonder, really wonder, what is it that I want, which is often so much of what we talk about with this inner work. What do I
Yeah.
really want? Yeah.
Right. And I do love that. I think about, in order to dream a different dream, in order to have your own unique dream that's for you, you have to know yourself
Yeah.
and really go in and stop comparing yourself to what is good for everybody else.
Yes, yes. And interestingly, with this shift, of rescripting the American dream, I think it's an interesting dichotomy of we became very much like individuated in what we want and started to get clear, right, in what we want. But it also circled us back in some way, or is beginning to circle us back into and what is best for the whole, right?
Yeah.
Which influences then what we want as our dream.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so interesting to think about that, that and I don't know the timing of when, but when communal living was more the norm, right?
Yeah.
When intergenerational families lived together,
Yeah.
right? Where often families lived not just within the same town, but often in the same neighborhoods within that town.
Yeah.
And we grew away from that with this, I think it was in the 50s, that the American dream at that time was, everybody had a single family home and one car and a wife at home and children in that home, and that became that really individualized way of living.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's just so nice to see that we are into whatever, I was going to say, floats your boat, right? If
Mm.
you want the independent individual living, it's available to you. If you want intergenerational living, it's there for you. If you want communal living, it's there for you.
Yeah. Or if you don't want it and
Yeah.
you have to have it because it's where you're at right now, that's a whole nother learning experience too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So a lot going on in the world today. And I guess, again, more questions for the listeners out there, and more wondering, for you, what is it that is your dream? And what is if you're here in America or you're in a different country, what is the dream that you would like to script? What is the one that you want to see, the vision that you want to see come forth, both for yourself and for the world today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you are, moving out of or away from, or even just beginning to question the dream that you have been living thus far in your life, right? Be able to come with gratitude of what did you learn about yourself? How have you grown? What do you know now because of the dream that you were living or the dream that you were told was the right way to live? Right?
Yeah.
Just don't throw it out as if it's wrong for you, but really bring gratitude to it because it is teaching you what is not for you.
Yeah, yeah. I think of when I interviewed my daughter Cassandra, and we were talking about dreaming, you having a vision and having your dream life, right? And she said, if she had just stayed with what she thought her life was supposed to be, she would have by now, had a couple kids, lived nearby, and be raising kids and whatever. And instead, at some point when she got together with her life partner, who is now her husband, they really started looking at, well, what do they want now? And starting to really live into what felt exciting and new and adventurous to them. And it took them on all kinds of adventures for 10 years. So she's not living near me with a couple of kids. She did a
Yeah.
whole bunch of other things and has really, blossomed a beautiful, beautiful life for herself, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm so curious about when when you watched her creating her dream life,
Mm,
and it might
it
or
was
might
hard.
not. I want to hear that. That's what I
I
want to
had my
hear.
moments. Yeah, I had my moments, and she knows it. I mean, I remember the day that she told me she was moving out of state, and I was literally, it was like a dagger was in my heart. I was shocked. I was, because, my dream is to have us all nearby one another. And my dream and her dream don't have to line up. That's not how life is, right? So, it was an adjustment and a good adjustment for me in terms of, really being able to hold somebody else's dream that's in conflict with what I wanted, right? And then to really do the work of what is it that I wanted in that, right? What was the thing that I was holding on to? Why did I want what I wanted? And then what did I want more? And to be able to say I wanted her happiness more than I wanted us all living nearby one another was easy to get to eventually. But I had to go through
Hmm.
my own process to get there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think about that too. When my youngest told me she was moving out of New England,
Mm,
you know, I was so excited for her.
yeah.
I was so excited that she was experiencing something that I never had.
Mm,
Right. And so, but it's really interesting to have that, did I think that I would have a child who's living, in two other time zones? No, I never thought that, right? Did I think that she would be close by, an hour drive? That's what I thought. But it is really interesting to be able to let her have her dream
yeah,
and live into that dream
yeah,
and experience what she wants to experience.
yeah.
And, I know myself, you know, growing up, there were dreams I had of my life that my parents just were like, what? Why would you ever think that that was reasonable or available to you?
Yeah.
Even thinking about the day I told my dad I could run his business when he was voicing his disappointment that neither of his sons wanted to take over his business, right?
Mm,
I didn't have a dream of having a business at that time, but I knew I could do that, but it wasn't part of, his dream.
yeah. Yeah.
And so it's really interesting how whether it's a parent and we do it to our children, whether it's a sibling or a friend, and we react to the dream that they are living or wanting to live through our own, I don't know, our
Mhm.
own scope, our own eyes, our own fears.
Yeah. Yeah. Our own desires, even,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
again, the conflicting desires. It's such big inner work to sit with conflicting desires of someone that you love
yeah,
and to hold that space and just let yourselves want different things, right?
yeah.
And we know that. I mean, if you have a good marriage, you're going to find that that's going to happen at
That's
different
right.
times and different stages, at different places, different whatever coming along in life. And so, to be able to start in your friendships, early in life, right? As you're growing and you're moving along, and listen to your friends, listen to what they want that's different than you. Encourage them in their own dreams, right? How do you do that and get good at that? Again, practice. Yeah,
Yeah,
practice.
yeah. And I love that. And I think, if you know someone who is just starting to dip their toe into a bigger dream for themselves that is maybe countercultural, right?
Mm,
How do you encourage them? How do you cheer them on and hold that place for them to really live into that?
yeah, yeah. So, Laurel, do you have any dreams right now you want to share on the podcast? As we
Putting
talk
me on the
about
spot, are you?
re-scripting the American dream.
Oh,
Mm,
my dream really right now at this stage in my life that I am in is to just do things differently.
mm,
To let go of the decades of living into a dream that I was given
mm.
as as the dream that I should hold.
Yeah.
And letting that go and really and dreaming of living in a world and we're seeing this happen where we get to decide for ourselves,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And letting it be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm honestly, part of the dream of not having to acquire so much or prove so much or do so much.
Mm,
That piece is really calling to me of how can I live into my heart's desires?
mm. Yeah. Yeah. That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
What about you? What dream are you living into these days?
I feel like I guess it's probably a little related to my word of the year, my phrase of the year, which my word was express, and I felt like it came into more like creative expression, more fully expressing myself creatively. And I think that, I think that the rescripting that I'm doing is similar to yours, and probably because of the stage we're in, right? Right, is doing less, being more, but also exploring more in a moment to moment way, like what creatively I want to do. I think, I've been watercoloring this year a little bit and playing with that, which has been a whole new thing because I've never had done anything like that before and never thought I had any talent in that area. And I won't say that I'm ever going to be the big talent that anybody's going to be wanting my paintings, but I feel like it's just brought me a lot of pleasure to explore and to play in that area and to also see, like it's almost like I have a voice in my watercolor and I'm trying to find it. Right. Yeah. And so
Yeah.
that's just been a fun playing. So I feel like I guess my dream right now is, um, to let myself live into, I still really am enjoying my work, at almost 70 years old. I still have the privilege of working with people and
Can I
enjoying their
just
work.
interrupt you? You round up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I'm not far away. I'm not far away. Just started my 69th year, Missy. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
that's
you know what I
fair. That's
mean?
fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, years ago, right, you were counting down the days until you retired at 60, whatever it was. And to be at this point, this is a rescripting of the American dream. I don't want to retire fully. I love working part time. It's great. So that's where I am right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And so many people are in that place where again we were told, led to believe that you retired at 62 or whatever that looked
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And and people are not retiring at 62 or 65 or 67 or 70. So
Yeah.
I love that piece of, right, almost like myth busting, right?
Yeah.
Creating
Yeah.
your own dream. And can I just say, when you were talking about your watercolor exploration, right, and expressing yourself creatively through watercolor, just reminded me of two episodes we've done. One was with Michaela Perry, Bold
Yep.
Moves. That was at the beginning of this year. She was one of the
Yep.
women I interviewed, and she is teaching watercolor workshops,
Yeah.
virtual, online,
Oh, yay,
and
Michaela. We'll put her link in here.
we will. And what a great place to just explore creativity in a fun, no pressure way. And the play and fun of it, as you were talking, reminded me of an episode we did with Dr. Deb Ayer a couple
Yes.
years ago.
Yep.
And that just came up for me recently because of a conversation in my group about play and fun. And so we'll put that link to that
Yeah.
episode where she talks about the importance of play and fun.
Yeah. So
And
good. Yeah. I feel like Laurel, I'm so glad that you circled back to that too at the end of the show here because, um, one of the rescripting of the American dreams, I think, is that many of us don't want to work, 10, 12-hour days. And I think
yes,
for a while we were taken for granted that you had to do that, right, as
yes,
part of the American dream. And so to really push yourself to understand that you can develop a lifestyle that doesn't require that and find your way in the world without living in that, with that as your script
yes,
is can be really important for especially for people whose nervous systems really won't tolerate that, right? And go in, all your burnout and overwhelm groups that you've been doing have been about helping people like recover from doing that.
yes. How
Yeah.
to quiet their nervous systems. And
Yeah.
I was one of them, right? And so
Yeah.
the more that I really explore play and fun and creativity just for the sake of being, not
Yeah.
for the sake of doing or accomplishing, right? And just, I think that's what excites me about this rescripting of the American dream. The world is open to possibility, and there's other ways to look at success and a full life other
Mm,
than even the 9 to 5, right?
yeah.
Never mind the 9 to 9, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the world that we live in can be beautiful, it can be spacious, and it can be exactly what we want if we dare to dream a little differently.
Yeah. 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 So next season, let's ask some of our guests, Laurel, about rescripting the American dream
Yeah.
and what they're dreaming about and, how they're going about creating the dreams of their life. And we really want to encourage all our listeners, right, to really tune in to be true to yourself, as we talked about in our last episode, and discover, from the inside out, what is the real dream that you hold in you, and how are you going to be a part of rescripting the vision of the world today? Because you are a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't give up that personal power to really, own your part, your piece of the earth, so to speak. Yeah.
Right? And don't spend all of your time and energy and gifts supporting someone else's dream. Right?
Yeah.
Create that dream life that you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? When I think about the expression, about your heart, what makes your heart sing or what brings you joy or, right, what lights you up. Like when we can tap into what it is that we want and we can discover how to make that alive for us, how we
Mm,
can build a life around that, it
yeah.
really changes everything.
It does. And I feel like, if you're working as your purpose in life and you're not happy with your work, then oftentimes you feel like, what's the purpose of life? And so to find what makes your heart sing, even if you're not doing it as work, can make you feel like it's worth being alive. And
Yes.
that's really such a beautiful part of being a human being. Don't miss it. We don't want you to miss it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right, because if you miss it, we will be missing you.
Yes, the real you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Laurel, we'll be
Here it
back
is.
before we know it. We're going to be back for season 5. So exciting.
Yes. And, we talk about season 5 and ending season 4. And I just want to tell our listeners that our podcast started in 2021, August 2021. And we intentionally didn't number our episodes because they are evergreen.
Yes,
You can go back and listen to Play and Fun with Deb Ayer that I think was from 2022. Right?
probably. Yeah.
You could jump in anywhere because the topics we talk about related to beautiful work, that inner work, really are timeless. So I encourage you, listeners, to go back and listen to some of our older episodes and some of our newest episodes. And hopefully they will all help you do your inner work.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you really, are just a topic that you want to, hear about, just put that little topic in the search bar and I'm sure we've got something on it somewhere along the way. And if we don't, please pop us off an email, send us a comment, let us know you want to hear about it. We'd love to bring it to the show.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, Laurel,
Bye. As
take care.
always, it's
I
so
know.
much fun being
So
with
much
you.
fun. I'll see you back in season 5.
Okay.
Bye,
Bye bye.
listeners. Bye, everybody.